Today's guest on the Meredith TV show is Diane Brewer, top 1% realtor. But I have to say, she is also a trusted leader who has built her success through integrity, resilience, and relationships. Diane's story is one of reinvention, courage, and shining through adversity while protecting people's futures through life's biggest moves. Welcome to the show, Diane.
Thank you, Meredith. I'm so excited to be here. I've watched you for a long time, so impressive, and I'm happy to be on.
Well, I'm honored to share your story, Diane, because it's very inspiring to many. And I think for people just getting to know you, beyond being an amazing, award-winning realtor, tell us, for the viewers at home, how you look at yourself.
Okay, well, beyond being a realtor full-time, not part-time, not a hobby, I am, of course, a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, and a friend. So I take relationships really important. That is, when I'm not working, I'm balancing my time with friends and family. It's really what drives me and what I look forward to. You also know that I'm a fitness guru and love fitness. So that's where I spend my free time.
And it shows, I must say, you're very fit and fabulous.
Thank you.
And that also opens up to some fun facts about you. You had a career in fitness with helping others. And I think it's very interesting that you came to California, in Southern California, I should say, at 18. What was that like?
Yes. So 18, talking about moving and leaving friends and family behind was a little bit scary. However, looking at the positive of that, I grew up in Northern California from 2 to 18, and coming to Southern California was a bit different. I definitely embraced meeting new friends, meeting new colleagues. I basically started working right away to meet people, right?
Amazing.
So I really thought that was a good situation to get me out and about and learning the area. Once you meet friends, they're like, you've never been here before? Just people like you. You've got to go here and there. So it was really exciting. It also made me independent. So I learned how to, at 18, kind of carve my own path, which kind of made me who I am today.
I would absolutely agree that you are somebody that can be counted upon to help guide others as well. And let's talk a little bit about the beginning of your life. Your first marriage, you walked away from what many might say is a billionaire trust fund lifestyle. And much like myself, my first marriage did not work out. And it takes a lot of courage to walk away. I don't often speak publicly about it, but my ex-husband's family, we lived on a yacht half the year. It is a totally different world than I currently live in. But I'm so glad that I made the change. It was the right change for me. And so tell me about what that looked like for you.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Leaving my marriage was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And leaving with 2 young children, not having been in the workforce for about 6-7 years other than a home-based business.
Talk about courage.
Yes. So I do feel that I chose to do that really for my daughters. I thought that they deserved a better life, a more harmonious life, and to learn how to be strong and choose my path and be surrounded by what it is that makes me resilient and strong was my own family, but also my daughters. I know that they watch everything I do, being a female role model, and it was so important to me that they saw someone of strength and character, and it's more than about money sometimes.
Yeah.
And I definitely have been able to return to a lifestyle over the past 2 decades that I do, thank God, have a life of luxury again. But it was a road, and I thought, you know what? Money isn't everything.
Yes.
It is important, but it was a good lesson for them to see.
Yes.
I always keep them in mind. I'm happy to say that I am friends with my ex-husband so that my girls don't suffer.
Yeah,
And
that's huge.
we do have a friendship. So I don't know how many people can say that. But
I can't. Never saw my ex-husband since our divorce. And
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I think for me, having that door closed was probably good, but I didn't have children. And so I think that what you're speaking into is so important, being
Yes.
bigger than the marriage it's lives that you're leading.
Yeah.
And speaking of leading, you have this extraordinary, what I would like to call personal leadership. You admit that you weren't in the workforce a long time, but you had some great breaks early on in your career, and I believe you made them. So talk to us about that, because you worked in fitness, and when I say that, I'm being like low key. So you have a passion for nutrition and fitness. What did that unlock for you?
I do. So one of the things about starting my career over, I came out of college with a degree in communications and a minor in psychology. I went into that corporate world, which I think we might talk about later, but when I re-emerged my career needing to work full-time with being a single mom and 2 young kids, I thought, you know what? It's got to be something I'm passionate about.
Yes.
Something that I can schedule around my kids so that I can be there full-time, and something that I can support myself on. So fitness was a natural fit for me. I think that I learned how to be a leader, not just by telling people what to do and how to do it, but really leading by example.
I love it.
I think that's one of the best things. You and I have even touched a little bit on exercise and things.
Yes.
But I think people want to know how to do it, when to do it, but they also want to see that you're doing it. And I think that the best type of example is to lead by example.
So if you're leading by example, you didn't just train at a gym. You actually had this extraordinary run. You've had some celebrity clients, and you actually made that happen.
Yes.
For inspiration, share a little bit about that journey.
So I worked for a gym. I'm not going to mention where or anything like that, because they're all similar. And I realized that at an hourly rate at this is not going to work for me. I want to do kind of what I do with my career, no matter what it is over the years, reinventing myself. I try to do everything with excellence and more of a white glove service. So I would actually go into country club homes and different people's homes and bring everything to them. As soon as I realized that nutrition is such a big part of fitness, I became certified as a weight loss specialist so that I could really put everything together for people that really matters. You need nutrition and fitness, they just go hand in hand.
Yeah, you really can't have one without the other in many ways. People get it twisted, but I think that a holistic approach, I totally agree, is the healthiest. Speaking of a healthy approach, I think that there's some fun in your life that we didn't touch upon. You, very early on in your career, did do the corporate thing, but not just any corporate. You worked for Marvel, and you started out humbly, and then you rapidly became promoted. Talk to me about that. That's actually a fun fact and very inspiring for many.
Marvel is like a dream job, right? Who doesn't want to work for Spider-Man? But what happened for me was I started out as an intern. And back in the day, I mean, being realistic, I was probably about 20, 21. Most internships at that time were unpaid. Right? We're talking 25, 30 years ago.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an internship that's paid. I'm going to sign up for this. Communications, I hadn't definitely finished through the marketing focus. I did do graphic design starting out as an intern. I realized after the internship was over and I had gotten my units that maybe graphic design wasn't my passion. So I went to them and said, guys, I'm going to move on. And they said, no, you're not. We want you as part of this company. At the time, it was still Malibu Comics Entertainment Group, and Marvel purchased them a year later.
Amazing.
So, I was lucky to get in the door then. And they said, well, what do you want to do? And I mean, what job says, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'm a people person. I like talking with people, like interaction. Behind a screen is not my ideal all day on a computer. So they said, well, why don't we make you a fan liaison position? You're going to have a Ask Diane column in all the comics, which I did, and people used to write into me. I would go to the stores, I would travel to the Comic Cons. I mean, in your early 20s, traveling to New York, Chicago, San Diego was a dream. I slowly worked my way up to communications manager, and just really was a dream job. Wonderful staff, wonderful experience.
What I love about you is when you go into something, you go all in.
I do.
And you touched on one of my favorite words that I like to use to describe you, if I may say, and that is you operate in excellence. And I love that because many people get it twisted and they say, life is about, you know, perfection. Let me do it the right way. But actually, if you aim for excellence, there's no way you can fail. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that if you're raising that standard day in and day out.
Right.
So a little fun fact that I love about you is when you did go into fitness, you didn't just, as I said, stay in the gym. You went to the country club and you actually had a moment where you asked somebody like, well, who's managing the fitness here? Like, explain that.
Yes. So I was taken by one of my private clients down to the gym at the country club. And she said, can you meet me there? That way we can use the gym equipment today. I said, sure. So we did so. I looked around and I thought, there's not a trainer here in the middle of a prestigious country club. They said, no. So I said, who's the GM? I'd like to speak to her.
I love it.
I spoke with her. I said, would you like me to teach some classes a few days a week? She said, yes. I said, it will be a nominal fee per member. She said, great. And that's how I met everyone. They would come out for classes, and then I would work with them privately for training and nutrition.
Yeah. Well, you can share. I know one of your celebrity clients is a very sweet man. Do you want to share that?
He is. I was blessed to, I don't think that he would matter. He's the wonderful Bob Eubanks.
Yes.
Bob has an amazing career. He brought the Beatles to Hollywood. That's how he started his career.
Amazing.
Managed Dolly Parton. I mean, so many celebrities. Had a phenomenal career himself. Wonderful wife, Deborah James Eubanks, has amazing business of her own, Bella Vita Events. They're just amazing people. And yes, I did meet them there. Yes.
Yeah, and I think you have to, in life, sometimes open up your own doors. You know, and actually, one of the things I like is sometimes a door opens and people don't keep pushing. But like, you could have arrived at the country club or at a beautiful location and enjoyed it and left, but you saw opportunity. And I think that that's what I think the most successful entrepreneurs and leaders do. They see an opportunity and they go for it. So I think it would be crazy not to talk about how you wound up in real estate, because I think many people go into that in California. Let's face it, it's a big market. You can speak to the numbers, actually. Share how saturated the market is in this industry.
Last check, I think there were over 700,000 realtors in the industry in the state of California. Last 2 quarters were a little slow in real estate. This quarter's been very busy. I know that some people did drop out of the business, so I would have to get you the announcement, but well over 500,000 in the state.
Wow. So talk about competition, but I don't think you look at it that way. In fact, there is no competition with you, because viewers at home, just so you know, Diane has been in the top 1% for Pinnacle for 7 years straight. So what does that even mean? Like, that's crazy.
Well, I would say it's to my credit, as well as my business partner, Nikki. We've been partners for almost 8 years. And I think that Nikki and I have a different business plan. We don't necessarily think that other agents are a competition. They're our friends, right? If we're listing a property, we want other agents to show up. We always believe in being liked by our peers and helping our peers. So that's number one, just on a business basic level. But being top 1% of the company, yes, I mean, we do have the top number of sales annually.
Incredible.
In the company. Pinnacle Estate Properties, we are in the Westlake office, which is the top producing office. We do start in Camarillo, we have Westlake, Calabasas, 2 in Malibu, and throughout the valley, as well as Simi Valley. So it is a big achievement, and I feel very blessed to have rolled right into a successful real estate career over 10 years ago.
Amazing. Why did you choose real estate? Was it similar because you wanted to have the flexibility with the girls?
I think partially. I always had an interest. Back in the day, my parents owned several properties that they would rent out. And as a young girl, I mean, we're talking tiny, I would go with my mom and she would meet tenants and interview them and hire and place them in some of their rentals. So I always had a somewhat interest. Believe it or not, I looked into it when I was divorcing about 10 years prior to actually entering. And I thought, you know, I looked at the hours. I do work quite a bit, 7 days a week. And I do schedule my vacations, but I thought, you know, having been at home with the girls, it's not the time. But when I did come fiercely into real estate 10 years later, it was my time and is my time and has been ever since.
Amazing.
So I really have enjoyed it. I've always had an interest to go back to it. I've always been an entrepreneurial spirit, which is heavily what real estate is. And with my communications and psychology background, it really goes hand in hand with real estate. I can get inside the client's head, whether I'm dealing with an introvert or an extrovert, and how do I best communicate with them? What guidelines do they need? And with marketing for my listings, I really understand you need professionals for marketing. I hire them, I believe in them, and I'm consistent. And those are some things that take you to the next level in real estate.
And I also think great leaders create great leaders. You are, as you alluded to, not looking at the competition in the office, but you're actually growing your team with you and Nikki, and always looking to, you've shared with me, you even pass on listings from time to time. You know, it's part of the practice. where did you learn that spirit? Because not everybody has it. I was addicted to $1 Million Listing. Anybody watching at home, and I see these ruthless Beverly Hills deals. And
Yes.
I know you work with really high-end properties. Recently, a listing well over 7 million that is just stunning. So talk to me about what the industry is like and how you've remained so generous with your time and spirit to mentor others.
Well, you're very nice. So yeah, I've sold everywhere from Palm Desert to Montecito. If it gets beyond that, it's typically I'll refer it out. We have a national referral network so that I can best aid the client and what their needs are and have someone in that area specified. But I would say that working with others in the industry is so important because you really become somewhat of a team. I mean, obviously you're working for your client, but communication is key and all of these things. And I'm not sure if I touched on exactly what.
No, you did, because I think the bottom line is you don't have to mentor anybody. You don't have to have that spirit of generosity with people in your office. Talk to me about that.
Well, so I guess we did have for a long time a quite large female team. We mentored so well that we were able to let them fly.
Wow.
We're willing to take on a few more people now, which we're actually currently interviewing for.
Amazing.
But yes, Nikki and I did have about 3 or 4 agents working with us as buyer's agent that we did mentor and kind of teach them how to be successful in real estate in a very competitive environment, which we just talked about is saturated. So yeah, I really do enjoy that part of it as well, and see them as team members, not as competition.
I think there are a lot of people watching and they're thinking, it sounds cool, but I want to know how you became top 1% for like 7 years in a row. So give us a couple of secrets to your success and what makes you a little different than other realtors.
I think that part of my personality type and type A, as far as not perfectionism, but excellence.
Yes.
I think whether it's fitness or real estate, you have to show up every day. You have to work hard behind the scenes. It's not every day that I get to do a TV show. So I'm working quite often, late hours, weekends, things that people don't want to do. A lot of people think real estate is super easy and you're going to be successful overnight and you're going to make a lot of money. And all of those things are possible, but except for the part that it's easy. It is a lot of work. There is investment of time and money. And I think my marketing background and my communication skills and my psychology all go together to help excel me to the top with grit and perseverance and consistency. I often equate fitness and real estate. It doesn't work if you're not consistent, right? You can't work out once a week and expect results.
100%.
You can't work out even twice a week. You have to show up every day in fitness and you have to show up every day in real estate.
There's some gem right there. I think that that's the money actually. And I also think it's really fascinating when you look back at your, for viewers at home watching your history, like you actually said yes to going to Shanghai, China in the past. And like most people would think that'd be cool for a month. How long were you there and what did you do?
So I guess I've always had a strong side, and leaving my dream job at Marvel is what I went to. The next chapter was Shanghai. So at the time I had an opportunity to go with my ex-husband. He was doing blood plasma product business there, and I could either stay at home and continue what I was doing, or I could challenge myself to go into a new culture. And we're actually at the time in Shanghai, this was 1995, people weren't barely speaking English.
Wow.
So I took on a job. I got into town on a Friday. I had a job the same day to start Monday. I worked for a company from...
Why am I not surprised, viewers at home?
I worked for a company called English First. It was a England-based company that came into Shanghai, and actually England and Shanghai were doing a joint venture at Price Waterhouse, at the time Coopers and Lybrand. So I was teaching the VP of the Shanghai office and his management staff English, business English. People are like, well, how did you do that? Did you speak Chinese? Not really. It was broken Chinese. But I did get by enough with greetings, and they got enough with broken English. So we were able to pull off business English classes. I did that for a year and a half.
Amazing.
I was just about to take on more clients that had moved in. Coca-Cola had moved into Shanghai. So I was just about to take on more clients, and we decided that our year and a half life in Shanghai was done. We came back to the States, and it wasn't my choice. I had a ball.
Wow.
I learned a lot about the Chinese culture and the people. And it was a great experience.
I would say Asian culture is my absolute favorite, and I would love nothing more than to travel all over Asia as long as possible, whenever possible.
I did get to do that. So on weekends when we weren't working, we would take jaunts to, we went to Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Jakarta, Indonesia, Bali. We went to Japan. We did have a good time and make the most of our time over there.
Well, you have not only proven yourself in real estate, but in reinvention time and time again. But one of the coolest stories that I know about you has to do with your daughters. You had a different idea, which was extraordinary parenting and leadership. Tell me the story for the viewers at home.
Well, I told the girls that I want you to understand how it feels to earn your own money and how it feels to buy yourself something. It does feel different than when someone gives it to you. Not that we're not ungrateful. We're very grateful. But I said, I will help you with a down payment. I want you to budget what type of car that you can afford, and you will be taking on the payments.
And I think that's total boss energy and a great mama bear, because let's face it, what I hear time and time again when I interview entrepreneurs is we sometimes look at the short-term gains, but short-term gains is not playing the long game, and the long game is life, and building wealth is not necessarily made in those short-term gain decisions. So I love the extraordinary care and thoughtfulness that you have not only put out with clients, but you obviously are equally as loving and consistent as you were discussing across the board in your life. I find it fascinating. And I'd also like to share, I am sitting in a dream home I didn't even know was possible till I met you. Yeah, and you are a fierce negotiator. We had like a 4-way for viewers at home bidding war. So there is something to be said about working with the best. You literally are the best. For those at home who might have a dream of a change, maybe much like yourself, they have children at home and they feel limited. What do you say to them?
I say anything is possible if you put in the time. I tell this to my own girls. If you put in the time and the effort and the consistency, once again, and show up, it may not be overnight, but eventually your dreams will come true. If you want it bad enough, it is possible, and just keep on going.
I love that. And speaking of dreams come true, we should share that you're happily remarried.
Yes.
And your husband also flies, so you have a second new home in Florida.
I do.
Congratulations.
So my husband Carl is wonderful. We've been married coming up on 16 years this year. Wonderful stepdad and husband, pilot for Alaska Airlines. We, I got licensed in Florida this past year as well. So I have my real estate license there as well. We did buy an investment property initially that we thought we might rent out. But we are tropical people. We really enjoyed the house so much that we actually keep it for our own. So we're really blessed to have that and feel
2 homes, I
very
love
lucky.
it. But even more exciting is you are now licensed in Florida.
Correct, yes.
So you can sell there too.
Yeah, well, we talked about that. I'm not there enough currently to really navigate the system unless you're in the Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch area. Then that will be my expertise for new construction. I'm happy to have someone come and see where we purchased. But yes,
so down the
I'm
road,
excited about that.
Yeah, you have a plan for retirement. It sounds like that'll be phenomenal.
Yes, eventually we will probably have a home. We are 50% and 50%.
I love it, splitting your time. And that's what entrepreneurship opens up, a lot of doors and freedom, which is clearly a great symbol and truth about your life that you've created over and over again.
Thank you.
And I have to say, not only are you super inspirational, but you've been an extraordinary friend, and I'm honored to be able to share a little bit of your story today with viewers at home. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Meredith, for having me today. It's been a pleasure.
And for those of you watching, I know you know somebody out there doing something amazing. Please, whatever you do, don't keep it to yourself. Take a little time to share the love. Reach out to us if you have a great story to share. And whatever you do, keep shining. It takes courage to shine, and we're honored to share stories of courage on The Meredith Show. Be sure to reach out to Diane and her team along with Nikki, and all the contact information you need is on the screen. Thanks so much for watching. If you have an amazing story of courage, our producers at The Meredith Show would love to hear from you. Email us at hello@themeredithshow.com. And if you'd like even more stories of courage on your feed, be sure to subscribe to The Meredith Show on YouTube, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram under The Meredith Show.